My name is Brian Richardson. I'm joined here by Catherine DeBanca, and she is going to commentate along with me of our four races today that are going to take place on the Liffey. We have the 75th edition of the Men's Senior 8 for the Gannon Cup. We have the 44th edition of the Women's Senior 8, the Corcoran Cup. And of course, to kick things off, we have our two races for the novices, men's and women's races, taking place as well. Kicking off with the Women's Novice 8th race for the Sally Moorhead Trophy. That race will take place at 3:30, and then 30 minutes later we're going to have the Men's Novice 8, the Dan Quinn Shield, and another 30 minutes before we get to the Women's Senior 8s, the Corcoran Cup, and at 5 p.m. our last race of the day, the Gannon Cup for the Men's Senior 8. A huge thank you to the organising committee of Brendan Flynn, Owen Wilson, Richie Oakley and Niall Farrell, as well as the team that are backing them up. Really takes an awful lot of work to put a city centre race together, so huge congratulations and thanks to them for their hard work. As along with that, we of course have the sponsors, which we would be lost without the funding and the support of Dublin City Council, Unity Fair, Business Solutions, Bergen's Property Consultants, Romberall Forensic Engineers, and Dublin Coach, as well as Murray PR and Communications. Without their support, the event wouldn't be able to take place. And also we should mention, most importantly, Catherine and I are going to sound like we know what we're talking about, thanks to the hard work of Irish Rowing Archives and the stats and information that's available there in the races, and all of the history of the races as well. So huge thanks to the team at Irish Rowing Archives. Throughout the day and throughout the races, we'll give you as much information as we can on the history of the races, the previous wins, some of the close races that we've had as well over the years, and we'll be kicking things off, as I said, at 3:30 with that women's novice race. So Catherine, very welcome to join the commentary crew here, and you're going to bring a very unique take to the races that are taken here, so you might give us a little bit of the background of your history in the colours races.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's a big nostalgia trip for me today indeed. I'm probably one of the few people who's had colours for the two sides competing today, both Trinity and UCD. And must admit, I had to check the archives website myself to confirm the years which it was. So I was in the Trinity Novice crew in 1998 and in the UCD Senior crew, the Corcoran Cup crew, in 2003. And again, I sort of had to check for the results of both, but I was always racing amongst friends, and a really great privilege to be there, and a truly unique course and a unique event of all the events that I would have done over the years rowing. It's a really special day for all of these young oarswomen and oarsmen, and we very much wish them the best of luck today.
Excellent, and I won't put you on the spot and ask you to say who you're going to be cheering for. You'll be a foot in both camps, in Trinity and in UCD, but
Well,
we
I
might
think
make
so.
some predictions about what the races are when the guys are up on the starting blocks there. Earlier on, the all-important coin toss took place, and Catherine, you might give us the details of that.
Yeah, so the coin toss was on the 5th of March up at O'Connell Bridge with Minister TD Charlie McConalogue, who's the Minister for State at the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sport and Media. So Trinity won the toss for the men. It's one toss for both races, and they chose the North Station. And the women UCD won the coin toss for both of the women's races, and they also chose the North Station. So I think a perceived advantage there, obviously, on the North Station, which I think is probably to do with that at the start of the race. So really that, I think, anticipation of wanting to get the advantage early on the course, and I think that's to do with the bend in the course at the very start there.
Yeah, we did. We were looking at the course details and looking at some of the footage from previous races. The start is all important. They'll be very nervous up there. There's lots of crowds, lots of noise, and getting off to that clean start is one of the most important parts of the race. And what we've seen over the last number of years is the crews from the North Station just hugging that first corner, and it's probably why both sets of crews selected to take the North Station coming off the start. So it's going to be interesting to see how the tactics play out with those selections that they've made on the north side. Throughout the course, it's a very difficult course. Those of you who are familiar with rowing, you might see the Olympic course and the Irish Championship course down in Inniscarra, where we have 6 lanes over 2,000 metres. This course is quite difficult, and Catherine, as a spectator and as a rower, you've seen it from both sides, so you might take us through the course that they have to row to get down to the finish line here just at St James's Gate where we're stationed.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely a challenge, and I mean, this race, I think, marks that transition from the head of the river longer races on open water and twisty courses and rivers and so on to that regatta season, which you mentioned. Totally different technique required and totally different environment for the crews on a nice long straight Olympic style course, if you will, as opposed to what we have today. So on the Liffey, they're starting just after O'Connell Bridge and then travelling west through a series of 8 bridges, which are a combination of bridges which are span bridges and bridges with arches, and that's where the cocks will really have they've got a defined plan. So each course, the span bridges are straightforward for both, obviously only one way to go there, but coming under then the arched bridges, each station will have a defined arch that they have to take, and it's really up to the cocks to steer them evenly through there, and that part of the challenge. So starting off at the start here in O'Connell Bridge, then that's at the boardwalk and Temple Bar area, the Halfpenny Bridge, a span bridge, then through the Millennium Bridge, another span bridge, then the Grattan Bridge, that's the green one with the arches, coming up then past the forecourts on the north side of the river to the O'Donovan Rossa Bridge, another arched bridge, then the Father Matthew Bridge, arches again there, Mellows Bridge, an arched bridge, and then the final 2 bridges, which are span bridges, the James Joyce Bridge and then the Rory O'Moore Bridge, the Blue Bridge, and that's coming down to where we're stationed here on Victoria Quay, and the finish is there.
So difficult course for them to navigate, and what we've seen in the past is leading crews might move into the centre of the course, but they have to go through the arches that have been assigned on the north and south station, and we should see footage of that as the races are coming down. So coxes will need to stay to their stations in order to make sure they minimise the adjustments that they make coming down the course. Over the last couple of years, there's some very close races that we've had, and when we get into each of the histories there, we're going to bring you some details on that as well. And we'll be starting shortly, we mentioned, at 3:30, just over 10 minutes time, with the women's novice 8. The novice crews, both for men and women, are in just their first season of rowing, so a lot of them would have started rowing just in September when they started in college. There's a big recruitment program, and they will have raced and trained all over the winter, those long, slow, wet weekends and early mornings, and now they were starting to move into the regatta season. They are a different type of racing. They would have competed over the last couple of years, the last couple of months, over the head of the rivers, which are time trial events. You're not racing side by side, you're racing against the clock, and we'll have some of those results as well to see who were the leading crews between UCD and Trinity over the winter season. The novices as well, their first year of rowing, so it's going to be exciting for them right in the city centre here, coming up towards the finish that it is at the James's Gate here by the Guinness Brewery. Lots of crowds down here supporting as well. The footage that we're going to see on screen, we have a camera up on top of the Dublin City offices, which will give us a good span of the race, and we have a number of people dotted along the course, as you can see, and they'll give us some footage. So we'll be bouncing our way down from O'Connell Bridge all the way down to the finish here with the footage. Up on screen at the moment you can see the starting gantry, so this is where the crews are up there. You can just see the blades of the UCD crew, and right beside them on the right hand side of the screen the Trinity crews as well, side by side, and they're just going to back their way onto the start and get onto the stake boats there. There's someone going to hold the boat. The boats will get level, and the starter will set them on their ways once he sees that both crews are ready to go. In the introductions to the races, we had a quick chat with some of the captains from UCD, from DUBC, and from the ladies' boat clubs as well. We had a chat with some of the captains as well. So Dak Murphy, who's the captain of UCD, he is racing in the boat there. He mentioned that there's a chance for UCD to level up the men's senior 8s at 37 each, and we'll get some details on his race. But now we're just seeing the women's novice cruise. The Sally Moorhead Trophy we mentioned is what's on offer here. This is named after the event's creator, who was captain of DULBC. And Catherine, she was captain when you raced with Trinity?
She would have been, yeah.
Right?
Sally is a big part of the Trinity rowing family, and she would have been captain, I think, the year when I started rowing in Trinity as a novice. So it was really a mentor, I think, for all of us, as were her senior crew at the time, and has made this really beautiful trophy. I think the previous trophy was lost somewhere. I was thinking I should be asking some of my colleagues, is it buried in an attic of theirs somewhere? But she made a really lovely trophy from a rowing blade, which is painted on one side with the chevron pink and white and black stripes of Trinity, and then that saffron and blue stripe for the UCD ladies crew. So a really lovely trophy that these two cruisivores women are racing for today.
Excellent. And so this first race we mentioned, it was in 2005 that the women's novice eights raced. Overall, so far, the current holders are UCD, having won it last year quite easily over the Trinity crew. In the overall standings, it's UCD leading at 12 ahead of Trinity, who have 6 wins. There was no racing, of course, during the COVID period of 2020 and 2021. But over the last couple of years, in 22, UCD won it by a length and a half. And over the last 2 years, we've seen Trinity win in 2023 quite easily over the UCD crew. And last year, UCD reversed that, taking the win over the Trinity crew. We mentioned that it's the novices' first year of rowing, so it'll be very exciting for them, and I'm sure they have family, friends and supporters up there to watch them in this unique city centre location for the race. The last time they raced, not side by side but over the time trial at Erne head of the river, the 8th race there that took place at the 1st of March earlier this month, it was in fact the Trinity crew who won the overall women's novice event. UCD were second, and there was about 30-40 seconds separating the two crews, but over a time trial and 5 or 6 kilometres on a winding course, there's a lot to be taken into account there. So we're expecting much more of a closer race here in the 2K side-by-side race as they get ready onto the staples. Catherine, what's going through their minds now? You raced novice for the first time back in 1998. Can you chest your memory? Can you think all the way back to then, and what was going through your mind as you were doing your best to get onto the staples?
I know, that's what I'm looking at them there, struggling to get that line, and you really have to line up quickly and be off quickly. So I think as soon as the two of them are lined up there, but yeah, I think a real mixture of excitement and anxiety. They're just legs are firing, ready to go out of the blocks there, I think. But you can see Trinity are sitting there ready and waiting for UCD to line up beside them now, and hopefully we'll have them off shortly.
So we were talking about conditions when we were getting set up here. It was a little bit blustery with a nice tailwind coming down. It looks quite calm there. There's a little bit of a ripple on the river there, you can see as the boats get ready, but I don't think conditions are going to be too challenging here for the two crews.
No, it looks nice and smooth, and I think the tide just on the way in too, so quick races probably.
So just while they're getting on, we might give you the rundown of the crew selections. So we will start. I will give the crews for UCD Ladies Boat Club in the Women's Novice 8. So in the bow seat, it's going to be Carrie Savage, who is studying computer science. In the 2 seat for UCD, it is Katie Ormsby, who is studying food and agri-business management. In the 3 seat, Isabella Devitt, who is studying veterinary medicine. In the 4 seat for UCD ladies, it is Aoife Renda, who's studying commerce. In the 5 seat, Martina D'Amico, who's studying psychology. In the 6th seat for UCD, it is Katie O'Doherty studying commerce. In the 7th seat, it's Evie Jennings, who is studying physiotherapy. And in the stroke seat, Lenore Church, who is studying engineering, and Cox by Jessica Chamberlain, who is studying computer science.
Great, and I have the Trinity 8 then, bow seat, Katie Daly. Number 2, Lisa Spanier. 3, Anne Venables. 4, Amelia Roder. 5, Sive O'Rourke. Number 6, Tilly Osborne. 7, May Schwaniger. And stroked by Sarah Gagan with Cox Ava Dolan.
So they're just getting into the race positions now. They're under starters' orders. And we will see big crowds up at O'Connell Bridge. I'm sure there's some tourists wondering, is this something that happens on a regular basis? But it is, of course, just an annual event taking place at the end of March, this annual colours race. And we'll be shortly underway. And away we go. So They're off. It looks like to me that the Trinity crew may be away a little bit cleaner from UCD as they make their way. You can see the umpire behind now, following down, and they're making their way down to the first of the bridges on the way down, which is going to be the very famous Halfpenny Bridge coming through. It looks there, Catherine, that the Trinity crew did get that cleaner start off of the first 100 metres.
Yeah, we're just picking them up here from the next view now. Close though.
So very little between them. They'll coming off the start, they'll be going for their high rate, settling in after the first few 100 metres into their race pace. Looks like UCD have come back on the Trinity crew just in those first few 100 metres, and they're coming through now the first bridge. We're going to see if we can get some stats from them as well through the Ludum system that they're using here. So they're through the Halfpenny Bridge, and again lots of crowds supporting them there. Next up is going to be the Millennium Bridge right ahead of them there. It looks like the UCD crew, this is this little bend that we mentioned coming off the start, and this is where maybe coming through that span bridge that the UCD crew might take that little bit of a lead, and I think, Catherine, that's looking like what we're seeing in front of us.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening. All right, they're coming around that bend, definitely taking advantage of it, but interesting to see as things straighten out now if they'll maintain that. Lots of supporters there, which is great, giving them all a shout, I hope.
And the next bridge you can see is one of the ones that has the arches, so they have to go through the north and south arches that are indicated here, and it might mean a little bit of adjustment on the tiller, slows down the boat a little bit, but the UCD crew getting out to about half a length lead coming through with the first few 100 metres here, opening up. The Trinity crew are trying to maintain that overlap, and as they just come through, we should see them making the bows of the boats will just start coming through the archways there, and we'll see if adjusting their course has had any effect on the crew from UCD. You can just see centre of the course now just coming in, maintaining contact, the crew from Trinity, so definitely they need to make sure that they're within striking distance. They don't want to open up clear water and let the crew ahead of them move away, but it does look like the UCD crew starting to settle into a beautiful rhythm here and push on through. The Trinity crew staying quite close to the bank over here on the right hand side of the screens. You can see they probably have a little bit of clear water opening up between the two crews, but all to play for, especially with novices. A good push or two from the Trinity crew, which is, I'm sure, what we're going to hear from the Cox from Ava Dolan is going to be saying to the crew, you need to maintain contact and you need to maintain that overlap. So we might see a push from them to maintain the overlap with the crew from UCD, who have about a 3/4 of a length lead as they come up towards the Dublin offices.
Tight. I think they're still close. Some swans disrupting the activity there.
Ideal conditions, as you can see, the water glass calm there. The UCD crew, it's probably about 3/4 of a length, opening up to just about a length as they go through the north and south stations, and Trinity really need to maintain contact here as they come up towards about halfway down the course now, and that run in towards the second half of the race. All to play for still, but the UCD crew looking really strong there. Nice long strokes from the crews as our drone heads up towards the city to pick up the race as they come down. A little bit of steering you can see from UCD. They're now going to hug that bank coming across, and they've moved right in towards the bank where our cameraman is there. Trinity, though, looking like they have done just about enough to maintain contact, which is great to see. You don't want to open water to take place between the two crews, and it does look like just about 3/4 of a length, so Trinity doing well to maintain contact here as they come up in towards the second half of the race. And again, Catherine, really interesting coxing here, and the crews would have been down and getting plenty of practice in. It's quite different from our home bases up at Island Bridge to come down and compete here into the city centre. They'll have lots of instruction, lots of knowledge being passed on from generation to generation, as we're watching some of the supporters there jumping up and down, cheering their crews on as they come in towards the run-in to the last half of this race here.
It is really strategic, and this is the part now when those legs will be really starting to burn, I'd say, coming into the, as you say, the second half of the race, really digging deep and listening to the two Coxes encouraging them every stroke of the way.
So the UCD crew leading it out, we mentioned Carrie Savage in the bow seat, Katie Ormsby in 2, Isabella Devitt in 3, Aoife Rendu in 4, Martina D'Amico in 5, Katie O'Doherty in the 6th seat, Evie Jennings in 7, Lenore Church is in the stroke seat, and they're being backed up there by their cox, Jessica Chamberlain. Still look like they have the lead as they come up towards the next of the bridges in the run-in towards the finish here. You can see the coxing taking place with UCD hugging into the left-hand side there. Trinity doing everything they can to get back into contention and putting it increased pressure, you have to say, on the crew from UCD as they come up towards the finish. You can hear some music outside that'll lift them as well as they come in towards the last few of the race, the bridges here, and in the run in towards the finish. So we're heading towards the Matthew Bridge, coming through the arches there, and then we're down to just 3 more bridges. Mellows, James Joyce, and the Rory O'Moore is the last distinctive blue bridge they're going to come through in the run into the finish. Looks like the Trinity crew have really picked it up here. Big push coming on from them on the left hand side of your screen. The UCD crew steering as well, they're gone to the right hand side. Both crews now having to adjust to come in towards the finish run in here, and it's going to be interesting when we hopefully get our drone footage. We just see there, look at Trinity have come right the way back in here. Catherine, they've done really well over the last few 100 metres, taking that 3/4 of a length, and now it's just about half a length, if not a third.
Wow, really tight finish, and well done to Trinity. That's really remarkable. They're really sticking with them there now. I can feel it.
The nerves, the heart rate is starting to go up. Trinity putting on a real big push here coming in towards the finish. The supporters cheering them on in the run-in. They're going to be right down to the last few hundred. This is the last bridge, and they're down to about 200 metres. UCD have done all the running off of the start, leading it out, opening up to just about a length lead, but the Trinity crew have come back at them stroke after stroke, and as they wind up towards the line, they might run out of water as they come up towards the finish, but it's still UCD just by about a canvas ahead of Trinity, winding up towards the line here. So very little between. It's going to come down to the wire. We think the Trinity crew continuing to put on a squeeze. This is what we love to see in these side-by-side races. These crews, I'm sure, are not thinking the same, but it looks like to me the Trinity crew just moving into the lead in the last 50 metres. Finish line is in sight. There's the vans that myself and Catherine are set into commentating on the race here. The first race of the day. It looks like a great comeback from the Trinity crew, winding up towards the line. They've now opened up a third of a length ahead of UCD. The UCD crew need to lift and wind up here. Lots of encouragement from the crews. Supporters either side of the bank. The finish line is going to be in sight, and it's down to the last few strokes. It looks like a really great row from Trinity, winding up towards the line. They have come back on this UCD crew and wound up towards the finish, and now they open it up more. It's gone from half a length. UCD crew look like a beaten crew as they come in towards the finish. There's the finish line. It is going to be a win just by half a length. It is the crew from Trinity. The Fuchsia takes the win.
Fantastic race, my goodness.
Really
great
good,
start to
exciting
the
race
afternoon's
there.
racing now. Really exciting, and that's really gutsy performance from both crews, I must say. Remarkable for novices.
That was
really that's what it's all about.
Really high standard of rowing there for the novice crews. Well done to the crew from Trinity, taking the win there just by half a length. A really exciting finish. They timed it to perfection coming in. So it's Katie Daly in the bow seat, Lisa Spanier in the 2 seat, Anne Venables in 3, Amelia Rudder in 4, Sive O'Rourke in 5, Tilly Osborne in the 6th seat, May Schwaniger in the 7th seat, Sarah Gagan in stroke, and Ava Dolan. Great job there. You can see the crew celebrating the trophy for the women's novice 8, the Sally Moorhead trophy, heading the way of the crews from Trinity.
And then that's bringing that up to seven races in total for Trinity and 12 UCD, so evening up the balance a little bit there today. Well done to Trinity. Great race.
Really exciting there, and over the last 4 years we've seen it flip-flop between the two crews. So in 2022 it was UCD who had won, and in 23 it was Trinity. UCD taking the win last year, but now the Trinity crew have come back and taken the win there. So first race of the day goes to the Trinity crews. Let's see if the men's race can bring as exciting a race. and can also bring the win to Trinity. So they're celebrating. Lots of supporters here down at the finish line as well. So
it's
they're going to make their
wonderful.
way.
I mean, novice rowing, and these girls wouldn't, a lot of them I don't think would have rowed at all before last September. So it's really fantastic to come through that rapid learning curve and out there racing on through our city, enjoying hopefully now a bit more of the cool down. Say hello to the swans.
So they make their way back up to Island Bridge, and it went with form. We did say at the start that the Earn Head of the River, the most recent race at the start, it was the Trinity crew who had won that over UCD. So UCD did all the running there at the start of the race, getting out to that early lead, did their best to open up clear water, but the Trinity crew managed to maintain that overlap through the centre half of the race, and just when we got down to the last few hundred metres and that clear run in towards the finish, the Trinity crews just changed gear, coming through the UCD crew, which is really hard to do. You know, getting out to lead and holding a lead is always the ideal, but they had faith in their race plan, I think, and they pulled through just in the last few hundred metres to take the win in the Sally Moorhead Trophy for the Women's Novice 8. So we'll catch our breath and we'll be back shortly. The next race in 20 minutes time is going to be the men's novice 8th race, the Dan Quinn Shield. So we're going to take a little bit of a short break as we can see some of the crews making their way down. I think that might be the senior crews coming down there, Catherine, making their way down towards the start, or it could be the men's novices.
I'm wondering, I can't tell now because
we'll
they don't
see if
have
they get up a
their
little bit
they've
closer,
got their,
we might be
their
able to recognize
jackets
a
on.
few
I
people
can't
there.
see. Are they the stripes or white shirts? I think that's it.
Yeah, I think it might be the men's novice crew on the way
Men's
down to the
novice crew,
start.
okay,
So
yeah.
we're just seeing the Trinity crew on the way down now. Okay, so we're going to take a little bit of a break here just to catch our breath and get ourselves lined up. We'll be back shortly to bring you the background information for the next race, the men's novice 8 and the Dan Quinn Shield. So welcome back to the city centre of Dublin for the Colours Boat race between Trinity and UCD. Our first race that we had taking place just a few minutes ago was for the Women's Novice 8, the Sally Moorhead Trophy, and we saw revenge on the UCD win from last year with the Trinity crew taking the win in the last few hundred metres. Really nice rowing from them to come and take first race of the day. Catherine, really impressive rowing from the Trinity and UCD crews. Hard to believe that they're novices, the race that they just put down.
Yeah, really mature race plan, I thought, from Trinity there. I think they came off with a cleaner start, but then UCD took really decisive lead through the majority of the race, and then it was really just in this final straight where we saw Trinity really obviously had it in the tank to come through at the final 100 metres or so there to take the win. But an exciting finish, just half a length in it there. So really, as I said, gutsy rowing for novices and a real pleasure to watch.
Absolutely, and it looked like they didn't have too much of difficulty getting down the course. It is an unusual course here, having to go through 8 different bridges, going through the archways that they need to go through, as well as sticking to their stations. So it's not a race that they just turn up, race down a lane. There's a lot of extra to take place, a lot of thinking to be done by the coxes, but 2 really smart races there from both the UCD and Trinity cox in the first race of the day.
Great, really, no, absolutely agree. Everything they had a great plan and negotiated the arches, as you say, which is challenging. And I think they've obviously been down practicing. The coin toss was a couple of weeks ago now, so I think they've clearly had a good chance to do a few warm-up sessions and run-throughs on the course over the last couple of weeks. But very mature performance from both sides, really.
Excellent, and just while we were catching our breath after the first race, we did see the next 2 crews make their way down, the crews that are going to compete in the men's novice 8 race for the Dan Quinn Shield. The Dan Quinn Shield is named after a rower who has a lot of history in Irish rowing. He was part of the 1962 Junior 8 that won every race except for the Irish Championship, where racing at Metro it was Coleraine Athletic Academic Institute, who took the win. That one race is the last race that they didn't win out of that season. But the Dan Quinn Shield, named after Dan Quinn, and is on offer for the men's novice eights. The first race took place in 2004 for the men's novices, 1 year before the women's race was established. And at the moment, it is the Trinity crew who are the holders of the title, winning it last year, and indeed they've won it the last 3 years. So 22, 23, and 24, all going the way of the Trinity crew, and they have 11 wins overall against the UCD of 8. We had some very exciting races in this, as we've seen in the one that we just watched in the women's race. But previously in this men's novice race, in the 2018 race, it was just 2 feet that separated the crews, and UCD just winning on the surge towards the line. And most recently in 2023, 2/3 of a length just separated the two crews, with the Trinity crew getting the win there. Trinity going for 4 in a row, not an easy task to do, and the UCD crew might be slight underdogs here, you might have to say. The most recent outing, again at Earnhead of the River, where they were doing that time trial race, it was the Trinity crew who just got the better of the crew from UCD. So it'll be interesting to see between the last couple of weeks, switching from that head of the river mentality of that long distance that needs to be raced over the 2,000 metres. It'll be interesting to see, can the UCD switch up and try get the better of the Trinity crews. This is the 20th edition of the men's novice eights, and we mentioned already the Trinity crews currently leading the leaderboard there with 11 wins over UCD's 8. So the two crews, you can see on the North Station we have UCD. They both for the men's and 2 men's races, they selected to race from the North Station, and just at the first bridge we're seeing here the Trinity crew just making their way, finishing their warm-up. They'll make their way back up towards the start. They back up onto the start, take off those tops that are keeping them warm at the moment, pass them up onto the pontoon, and they'll be race ready then to get underway in just under 10 minutes. We might take you through the 2 crews that are lining up here for the men's novice 8. Catherine, you might give us the UCD crews.
Yeah, so the UCD lineup here, I have in Bow, Sam Delahunty. He's in first year engineering, graduate of St. Michael's College. Used to race triathlons, he says, won the under 19 age category at the Wicklow Harbourman, and he's a previous rugby player too. So all of these teams now taking up rowing really for the first time just last September. So really remarkable achievement that they're at this level now, competing right through the middle of the city under view of the crowds there. The number 2 seat then we have Adam Nolan. He's an engineering student, graduate of Gonzaga College. Number 3 seat then Sean Flaherty, first year science, Tala Community College. Jack Kelly in the number 4 seat, first year business and law from CBS Kilkenny, previous North Kilkenny under 11 handwriting competition, undisputed champion apparently, he tells us. That's to be highlighted, I have that here in the programme. And number 5 seat then, Ross Winship, BSc in economics from John the Baptist Christian Brothers Hospital. And number 6 seat then, Conor McCarthy, first year BSc Economics and Finance from Kinsale Community College. And the 7th seat then, Conal Irvine, Economics and Finance, graduate of St Mary's College in Rathmines. Stroke man then, Jack Hansen, first year engineering from Belvedere. And they're coxed by Orla Welton, BSc in chemistry with environmental engineering, first year student there as well, and graduate of Sacred Heart Secondary School in Clonakilty. That's the lineup for UCD. Then Richie, you've got the Trinity crew.
Yeah, in the bow seat for Trinity is going to be Will Carkner. He's studying engineering. In the 2 seat, Arthur Griff, who's studying history. In the 3 seat, Gabrielle Gruller, who's studying politics, philosophy, economics and sociology. In the 4 seat, Garvin Healy, studying engineering. The 5 seat, it's Jake Marsley, studying biomedicinal science. In the 6th seat, Sebastian Walker, studying economics. In the 7th seat, Dara McKinley, who's studying physical science. Stroke then for the Trinity crew is Dara Robinson, studying engineering. And Cox for Trinity is Mila Graham, studying human genetics. We meant to mention as well the coaches of the crews. Coached for the Trinity crew, Mark Quigley, lot of experience here, racing a number of times for Trinity in their senior 8, as well as picking up a number of club championships for Lady Elizabeth, the alumni club for Trinity. So Mark bringing all his racing experience to this men's novice 8. And for the UCD coaches, we have the crews there. I'm not sure, Catherine, if you want to give these, or I can give an overview of the UCD men's novice coaches.
I have the coaches here, yeah. So there's David Summers, who's previous Club 8, Inter 8 and 4-time Senior 8 winner with, so no stranger, he says, to coming first habit. He's tirelessly been working to continue with this year's crop of novices. And then additionally we've Gavin Griffin, and couldn't stay away from the club, vital in building the novice men from the ground up, and long time coach on the banks in Island Bridge and in the launch in Blessington. Mick Kelly, then, old collegians and ex-boat club captain Mick Kelly, another addition to, I think, a new addition to the panel of coaches for the novice squad this year. So really testament to all of their hard work and getting all of these lads to the stage of representing the college at colours level, having really just started in the sport only a few months ago. So it's a really exciting day for these novices and indeed for their families, some of whom I hope are here today and are very welcome, and I'm sure excited and cheering them on there at O'Connell Bridge, which is just what we're looking at there, the view of the boardwalk too, as they're getting into position there on onto the stake boats.
So the UCD crew, they've taken their tops off. You can see they're race ready. They'll just start aligning the boat now onto their south station to make sure that they're lined up for the first few bridges and archways. And you can see the Trinity crew just backing their way onto the stake boats now. They'll take off the overgear, and we'll see the distinctive white colours of the men's novice crew, different to the seniors who sometimes race with the striped colours, but the novices here in all whites. And we'll see that they will level up the boat. You can see pointing in towards the boardwalk at the moment, so they'll adjust that slightly. No difficulty with the conditions. Last year was quite blustery. We had a lot of difficulty getting the crews onto the stake boats and keeping them on the stake boats as well, with the blustery winds that we had. But ideal conditions here. It's nice and cool, so these rowers will be quite warm, haven't done their warm up. But what they don't want is to be sitting around in the cold for too long. But I think we'll be underway as soon as the crews are aligned and the starter can get them away cleanly. We mentioned this is the 20th time that this race has been run for the men's novice 8s. Great addition to have the novices race alongside the seniors. One question we're asked quite a lot is where are the club and intermediate rowers? Do we have them racing as well? It's always a question. Might be that the colours race expands, but it's great to see all the racing here, men's and women's novice and the men's and women's senior racing taking place right in the city centre. Our good pal Kieran Kerr in the Irish Rowing Archives, who has all the stats that makes Catherine and I sound some bit intelligent. We lean on heavily for the details that are there. He, of course, has Irish Rowing Archives. There's a lot of information there, but we know that the race isn't always on this course. So previously it would have been raced out in Island Bridge. There was different races when it was down on the lower part of the Liffey here as well, with different starting and ending points. But the race that we have from O'Connell Bridge all the way up to us here at the finish line at St James's Gate and the Guinness Brewery, the one that's established now as the current course that they run on at just over, I think, 2,000 metres. They will race. And Trinity, we mentioned 3 in a row, going for 4 in a row, which is unusual for a club at novice level to dominate, because as soon as they finish racing novice they move into club or intermediate. So it'll be interesting to see. They have fresh blood every time a novice crew is put together. It's their first year of rowing, so there's little consistency compared to the other crews as we just watch them underway. And again, underway now in the Dan Quinn Shield, and similar to what we had seen in the previous race, it's reverse here on the stations. Catherine, with UCD on the south station, Trinity on the north station, just getting off to past the boardwalk now, and very little between the two crews.
Nice clean start from the two of them indeed, and as you say, I can't tell who's ahead. I think they're really tight there coming into the first. It's the Halfpenny Bridge they're coming under there, coming up towards now.
So the
And
Trinity.
that's probably,
So UCD, sorry, on
UCD
the
is
right
ahead,
hand side of
isn't
your
it?
screen.
Yeah, the right hand side of the screen.
Just opening up a little bit of a
Little
lead,
bit of
which
space.
is just coming up to that first archway there. Of course, the start of the race, they blast out of the blocks with a high rate before settling into a nice race rhythm, and it'll be interesting to see what the race tactics here. You can see just how close the crews are together, a little bit more together than we saw from the women's race. Very little between the two crews, matching each other stroke for stroke here as they come in towards the settled part of the race. As they move out now, we're seeing UCD is probably just by about a canvas, if that, as they come through. Up on screen you can see great blade work, and again, Catherine, we said it in the women's race, for novice rowing they're a very, very high standard here as they come in towards the second or third of the bridges now coming up, and you can see a little bit of adjustment having to be made by UCD. They'll have to make a little handbrake turn here to get through their archway and get a clean run of it from then on in.
They're into the arched bridges now after the Millennium Bridge there. So the next 1, 2, 3, 4 are the arched bridges, which will present the challenge then for Cox's Mila Graham for Trinity and Orla Welton there for UCD. Careful of taking their line, and they have to stick to the arch that they've been given there for the North Station and the South Station. So nicely there coming through the first one, which is the Grattan Bridge there, the Green Bridge, and looks like Trinity are edging out a little bit ahead. Maybe if they got nearly a length on UCD there, I think.
I think that little adjustment that UCD Cox Orla Welton had to make sure she hit the arch might have slowed down a little bit, and it's given Trinity the ideal opportunity to take the lead, and it's exactly what they've done. To probably about a third of a length between the two crews, Trinity on the top of your screen in the distinctive white colours, UCD on the bottom, and it looks like as they come level with our cameraman up on Dublin City offices, it's probably half a length to 3/4 of a length that the Trinity crew are opening up. UCD maintain an overlap at the moment, just coming past the Dublin City Council offices, and they're starting to move into a lead, and you can see they're hugging the bank there, Catherine, making every advantage coming around that North Station arch.
Yeah, I think that's the North Station which they've both chosen. That seems to be it, as you say, hugging in there, coming past the forecourts, and they emerging from that bridge. They're still together though, aren't they?
They are, and then they're really in by the bank there. You can see the Trinity crew hugging in, and they're going to take that first archway that's coming up towards them. The crew from UCD will take the middle arch. They've done well to maintain contact here, coming past the forecourts. We were talking earlier, the scaffolding thankfully coming down off the forecourts after a couple of years to improve the skyline of Dublin city centre. They've gone past that now, and they're coming up towards the next bridge, which is the Father Matthew Bridge, going through those arches, North and South Station, and you can see that there is some adjustments having to be made by the Coxes to make sure that they get through cleanly, and every time the tiller comes on it does slow the boat down. And I have to say, I think the Trinity Cox, Mila Graham, has done a fantastic job here steering her crew, the UCD crew, under increased pressure now to get back in contention, but I'm sure Orla Welton is going to be cheering them on and giving them every instruction that they need to get back in, maybe even telling them how the last race panned out, that a race can be won and lost in the last few hundred metres, as we saw with the Trinity crew taking the win in the women's novice race. But just looking on screen now, it looks like Trinity are trying to extend that lead and open up clear water, and it's all to play for coming down to the last few hundred metres here.
Very exciting. This is the point now when it's going to start to hurt. They'll be counting the bridges. They'll have done this in their training, and again steering having to come in there to catch that arch on the South Station for UCD.
Yeah, they're just coming through Mellows Bridge there. You can see just how close the UCD crew are going to get through to the archway, and you're seeing they're having to adjust, and it's quite a stark adjustment that they're making there, which again will slow down the boat, put it off centre as well, and more adjustments been made. The Trinity Cox doing a really great job of sticking to the course there and making use of their North Station, which they picked through the coin toss for the men's races. Seems to be paying off for them, and they've opened up clear water now as they come in towards the run in towards the finish. So they're coming up. There's just two bridges left. It's the James Joyce Bridge and the Rory Moore Bridge before they get in. You can see the distinctive blue Rory O'Moore Bridge in the background there, and look how much they've opened up that lead. I think the Trinity crew in full control here of the men's novice race, and it looks like they are going to get that 4 in a row. You can just see them. They've opened up about a length and a quarter of clear water, and they're striding out towards the finish here. Really powerful rowing from Trinity. They'll hear the crews, the encouragement from the supporters cheering the crews on as they come in towards the finish, and it's always a boost. And Catherine, you've been a winner in this race a number of times. You know just how much of a boost it is when you get in towards that run into the finish, knowing that finish line is in sight.
Out in the middle of the river, it's a really beautiful feeling. I'd say they're enjoying that now, knowing they've got a decisive lead. Really nice blade work there. We've got great view here from the drone footage, isn't it? Seeing the finish there, it's really great. Pushing those puddles away behind them, right down the middle of the course. Very special, finishing out there, and loads of fans running along beside them, cheering them on.
So the 2025 Dan Quinn Shield looks like it's heading the way of the crew Trinity. They're going to get 4 in a row, running towards the finish now, winding up, and as Catherine was saying, that's what you want to be. You want to be within full view of the crew that's behind you, pushing those puddles and lifting the boat in towards the finish. They're winding up towards the line now. UCD put a valiant effort in the first half of the race here, but just in the last 500-600 metres, the Trinity crew really changed gear and moved through. Jubilant scenes there for Trinity. 4 in a row, they take the win in the Dan Quinn Shield for the men's novice 8, just as UCD come in to close it out. So huge congratulations there to the crew from Trinity. Really exciting race from them. Arms aloft, catching their breath. A really great race from them. Coach Mark Quigley will be very happy with that, bringing all his racing experience and passing it on into the men's novice 8. The crew of Will Carkner in the bow seat, and Arthur Grigg in 2, Gabriel Guerler in the 3 seat, Garvin Healy in the 4 seat, Jake Smarsley in 5, Sebastian Walker in 6, Dara McKinley in the 7 seat, Dara Robinson stroking it there ahead of Mila Graham, doing an amazing job coxing there in the cox seat for Trinity. And I think Catherine, the coxing did play a big part of that. The Trinity crew looked to have a near impeccable course that they ran down at and the UCD crew, maybe the effect of having to adjust so many times did slow down the boat a little bit.
A couple of times it does, and you feel that in an 8, don't you? Every time that tiller comes on, you are losing speed. But a challenging course, and again, remembering that these are all young people that were never in a boat probably before 6 months ago. So to negotiate a course like that really is a great challenge, and testament to them for getting through all the bridges cleanly. I've seen oars clip off arches going through, and watching them there. Very difficult row now for UCD, back up to the weir to carry the boat up to Island Bridge. But again, nice neat blade work, real testament, as you say, to their coaches, and upwards and onwards. It's early in their careers, and we wish them the best moving forward.
Absolutely, it's early in their careers and also early in the season. We're just starting. This is the first real regatta race before we get the run in towards the championships in July to play for, and they'll face each other a number of times throughout the regatta season. So far in the novice races, it's 2 for 2 for Trinity. They took the win in the women's novice 8 and the men's novice 8. In the men's novice 8, they've now gone 4 in a row, extending that winning streak in the Dan Quinn Shield. And in the women's race, they reversed the UCD win of last year, where they finished in second place, taking the win there. So next up we have the senior races, but before that we just again want to thank and congratulate the organising committee, Brendan Flynn, Owen Wilson, Richie Oakley and Niall Farrell, Bish, and of course all the team that they have behind them in putting the race together. And they mentioned to us, a lot of us involved in rowing, we know exactly how much work goes into putting this type of race together. They couldn't do it without the backing of the sponsors and supporters that they have, and they've asked us as well to mention and to thank a number of them. Dublin City Council in particular, we're on top of their building. That's probably the one thing to say. We have one of the camera people there, so access to that area and the work that that they do to securing the city centre location with parking and everything as well really does help with running the event here. So a major partner for the Colours race in Dublin City Council, and a huge thank you to everyone there who supports us. Utility Fair, the business energy broker, whose CEO Nico Petrus is a former UCD rower. Utilityfair.ie is their website, and we'd encourage you to go and check them out. And a huge thank you to Nico and to his company for their sponsorship of the event. And it's great to see former rowers coming back to support and keep these show on the road here with their support. Bergen's Property Consultants, bergens.ie, another one of the supporters for the 2025 event, sponsoring us here. As I mentioned, bergens.ie, their website. And then probably one of the most interesting sponsors I've heard of, Rommel Forensic Engineers. And this is owned by Old Collegians Boat Club's Paul Rommel, and he is an expert witness and forensic engineer, and their website romeral.ie. He is one of the major sponsors here as well. Dublin Coach, a huge partner for the Colours race as well, along with Murray Consultants, Richard Oakley works for, and great to have their help with the Colours race advisors and partners for all your communication needs, murrayconsultants.ie. We'd also like to thank the Old Collegians Boat Club and their members, and they have added their support as always to this event, and this year in memory of some of their former colleagues and former oars people, Johnny Devitt, Owen Hines and Struan McNeely. Great to have the Old Collegians helping out and celebrating the lives and memories of those rowers as well. Always on the lookout for key sponsors, so if anyone is interested in helping out the 2026 event, you can contact Richie Oakley of Murray Communications, or anyone involved in the Colours race. We're just watching some drone footage here of the women's senior 8. They've got that unusual rigging. The middle four is in the continental rigging, so it's not everyone on the bow sides, stroke side the whole way up, so that's unusual to see. We might focus in on that a little bit when we go through the run-in. So great footage there of Dublin City Centre. Hoping to see a little bit of blue sky ahead of us, but at least the rain isn't there. That's the most Irish update that we normally give at events. At least it's not raining. But great rowing so far, and ideal conditions for the two races that we've had. So we might take a little bit of a few minutes break there, and we'll be back shortly then with the details for the next race, which is going to be the Women's Senior 8, and we'll give the history and the background to the Corcoran Cup, and we'll be underway shortly with the next race of the day. So welcome back to the 2025 Colours races, and we have seen already 2 wins for the Trinity crews. A very exciting race in the women's novice 8, where the Trinity crew came through in the last few hundred metres to take the win ahead of UCD, and then their men's race just completed there, and again we saw a dominant display from Trinity, opening up clear water in the second half of the race and moving out into take it 2 for 2 for Trinity so far. And next up at 4:30, it is going to be the 44th edition of the Corcoran Cup for the Women's Senior 8s. Women's Senior Rowing originally started in 1980 up at Island Bridge. It was raced up there up until 1990, and originally it was just a Women's Senior 4 race that took place between Trinity and UCD, but in 1993 there was a change where they swapped over to the 8s race, and that's due to the huge increase that started in the early 90s into women's rowing at junior level all the way up into senior, and since then thankfully we've had the women's senior 8 competing here for the Corcoran Cup. UCD, the current holders, having won it over the last 3 races in 2022, 23 and 24. They have 26 overall in the standings. Trinity have 17, and the UCD crew going for 4 in a row, looking to match the longest streak that we had in 2004 and 2005, and those dates should sound very familiar to my co-commentator as Catherine. Weren't you part of those crews?
I know, I'm just looking here with heartbreak at my 2003 DULBC 1 length. They took us by, and that was, you'll note though, the last year before the tides turned to that long winning streak that you pointed out there, 04 to 08. So that's my legacy. They just on the turn there for UCD LBC, but it's yeah, they'll be looking for, I guess, Trinity are looking to catch up there, I guess, aren't they?
Yeah, they had a run
overall.
of 2 wins in 2018 and 2019 before the 2 years where we had the COVID pandemic and no racing took place, and since then it has been UCD that have been the dominant force there. But in the most recent racing, again we're going back to Earnhead of the River, taking place in Enniskillen on the 1st of March on the time trial event. It was actually the Trinity crew who got the better of UCD, which was a bit of a surprise. Everyone I think is thinking that UCD might be the crew to take the win here. Trinity took that win just by about 14 seconds ahead, and we know that the time trial events and Head of the Rivers, very, very different racing to side by side, so it's all to play for here, and really exciting prospect ahead of us. The two crews made their way up towards the start, so we'll shortly see some footage up there, and we'll take you through the schedule of the crews. First time coxing in the senior races for both coxes. So Nessa Farrell coxing the UCD women's boat did win in the women's novice 8, so she has plenty of experience on the course and on the race as well. Now stepping up into the senior crew here, and Ashla Copeland was the cox that was in the boat for Trinity when they won at Earnhead of the River, which is a challenging course. So let's see if they can make sense of the courses they make their way down towards us in the women's senior 8 race. So hopefully we'll have some footage just looking up on screen there of the cans of Guinness. We're right beside the Guinness storehouse here in St James's Gate, and I don't know, is that a marketing ploy by Guinness, knowing that we're going out live as they're just over the bridge there at the Rory O'Moore, and you can see the James Joyce Bridge is just in the background as well. But the UCD crew, maybe Catherine, you can take us through the crew.
Yeah, so UCD then starting in the bow with Alison Daly, as I think she says herself, not her first rodeo, very experienced oarswoman, Inter-8 championships 2001, 2002, London Metro 2023, lots of wins there, and coming from background as a junior rower in Commercial Rowing Club. And I need to give a shout out to Alison's mum Maureen, who's a colleague of mine at work, and keeps me in line, and I've been hearing about Alison's career over the last number of years, so her proud parents, I'm sure, are here today. Then in the number 2 seat we have Emer Muldoon, who is a background in novice rowing, so came up through the ranks in UCD. She's in second year in medicine, and her clubmates, I think, are delighted to have her in the crew for many years to come, given her long degree ahead of her. In the number 3 seat then we have Sarah Butler, 4th year commerce. She came through the ranks in Athlone Rowing Club, proud Athlone woman, she says in the programme, and fortunate to have been in the crew in the Island Challenge Cup in Henley last summer. Then in the 4 seat we've Dervla O'Brien, she's the club captain, 4th year in veterinary medicine, graduate Coláiste Isagon, and she is heading up the bow 4 in the crew today. Then in the 5 seat, Tara Phelan, Lucan Community College, from school days, and she's come up through the ranks again in the from novice in UCD, 4th year commerce, and she is described as Middle Fours resident Watt Bomb, so the powerhouse of the boat there in the middle. And then number 6, my pal Aoife Feely, who I think is probably the reason that I've been roped in here today. Programme tells us, and I can verify, that she's strictly powered by rice cakes and peanut butter. Aoife is representing UCD today on the basis of her first year status in her Masters of Management. She's a medical graduate and currently training in surgery, so a capable woman on and off the water. In the 7 seat then, Niamh Campbell, 3rd year economics and mathematics, coming up through the ranks in Enniskillen Royal Boat Club, and now they are telling us in the programme that she particularly dislikes losing in Enniskillen, as that's where she grew up and went to school. And then in the stroke seat we have Lauren Roach, who's 4th year in agricultural systems technology. She started her rowing career as a novice in UCD. She's from Ballincollig Community School, and again a string of wins in her record there, 2 previous Corker and Cup wins, so adding to the experience in the boat for sure. And then the UCD crew coxed by Nasa Farrell. And when asked about her years in rowing, she says her response is that she was born in a double. So experienced crew there in UCD for sure. And you've got the Trinity details there, Richie.
Yeah, the Trinity crew, a not as experienced crew, but still plenty of experience from the rowers that are in here. We have in the bow seat Izzy Howley, who's in her second year of rowing. She started just in 2023 as a novice, now graduating into the senior crew, and this is her first colours race. In the two-seat, Sarah Tavy, in her 8th year of rowing, she tells us, and she started as a junior in commercial, now competing for Trinity. In 3-seat, Jen Ford, originally from Shandon, doing her junior rowing there before joining Trinity, and has 11 years of racing under the belt, so plenty of experience, and was part of the crews that raced in 2023 and 2024 at the senior colours race for Trinity. 4-seat, it's going to be Quiva Keller. She came through the novice racing as well, and she's in only her second year of rowing, similar to Izzy Howley, and this, along with Izzy, is her first senior colours race. So the bow seat and 4-seat coming through their novice ranks and now racing in senior. In the 5-seat, it is Grace Healy, a name familiar with a lot of people. Recently won Rowing Ireland's Up and Coming Rower of the Year award in January, and this is her 10th year of racing. And in 2024, she was part of the crew along with Holly Davis, who raced in the Under 23 International World Championship. So plenty of experience that Grace is bringing to the boat in the centre on the 5-seat. Imogen Cooney in the 6-seat. It's her fourth year of rowing, having come through the novice racing in a Trinity and then graduating in last season into senior as well. So she's raced twice in the colours race in 23 and 24. And they joked about Maria in the 7th-seat. She adds a surname on every year. It's Maria Mezquita Garcia Poggio. Apologies to all Spanish people for my butchering of the name there. She's in her 4th year of rowing, having coming through the novice ranks in 21-22 and also racing in the senior race in the last few years. Addie Telsrow in the stroke seat. Addie did a little bit of commentating with us at the championships last year. She comes from Holy Names Academy in Seattle, and she's 7 years of rowing, and this is her 3rd colours race, so bringing all the experience in the stroke seat. Ashla Copeland, 4th year Cox, is leading it out for the Trinity crew in the Cox's seat. And the coaches for DULBC for Trinity, it's an all-women affair here with Sinead Dolan coaching along with Lydia O'Keefe. Lydia, a good pal of mine from when I was captain of St Michael's Rowing Club. She brings a lot of experience from her early cruise in New Zealand and in St Michael's in Limerick as well, and now working with the Trinity crew, having been a cox there for a number of years. Sally O'Brien and Sive Gagan are the 2 other coaches, along with Sinead and Lily. And as we said, they're looking to break the UCD hold that they have over the last 3 races here in the women's senior 8. They're just getting onto the stake boats there. And maybe, Catherine, you can tell us a little bit, if you have it to hand, the coaches for the UCD crews.
Coaches for the UCD crews, I have Coman O'Connell and Alex Jestanoff. So Alex are leading from the Serbian rowing program, and they say her passion for sport and competition evident in everything she does, and one of the most respected UCD LBC coaches' reputation for toughness and directness is well earned. So it sounds like they've been under a good regime.
Excellent. And Coman O'Connell he's involved in Athlone, of course, which Sarah Butler in the 3-seat. They'll have that link there. So Coman will bring all of his experience into this UCD crew. And let's see if they can get that 4 in a row. The last 2 years they've won it quite easily, and even the year before that in 2022 was 4 lengths. We did have the timing systems as well. The times will be available. Race Clocker is there. We don't have them to hand here, but we'll check what the fastest times are. Those easily timed wins over the last few years for UCD, and overall we mentioned that it is UCD that have the 26 wins ahead of Trinity's 17. And the longest winning streak, Catherine, I'm sure, won't mind if it's equalled her records there from the crews involved in the cruise from 2004 down to 2008.
No, definitely not. It's a long time ago. Bias is long time diluted.
you're still a legend in the sport, which is great to hear and see.
Definitely not sure about that, but watching them all lining up in there, I can feel my heart rate increasing. Actually, it's.
I think a comeback might be on the books. Are you getting that
I
racing
wouldn't,
adrenaline?
I am. I wouldn't be underrating them. That Earn victory was pretty telling, I think. You know, and this is this sort of shoulder point in the season, isn't it? You're moving from a very different style of racing.
Yeah, that long winter rowing where you're racing against the clock in the time trials at the head of the rivers all changes when we get to the regatta season, and already cleanly underway. Similar to the races we saw after a flying start there, they didn't hang around once they were on the stake boats and the starter got them underway. So we're now into the 44th running of the Corcoran Cup for the women's senior 8. Trinity have 2 for 2 so far and are looking to break the stranglehold that UCD have on this event over the last 3 years. UCD going for 4 in a row, and we'll see how it'll play out. And very exciting the fact that Trinity did get the better of the UCD crew in Earn head of the river at the start of the year. So off cleanly and away for the first few hundred metres, and it looks already like the Trinity crew are off to a great start here, Catherine.
It does, certainly looks like that, doesn't it? But they're, I mean, close at this stage, too close to say, I'd say, but they're, well, maybe, canvas ahead, I'd say, at this point.
Just
both of them looking strong and nicely out of the blocks at a high rate and probably settling into their race pace now.
Really powerful rowing from both crews. You can see the unusual rigging on the right hand side of the crew from UCD.
Tell me about that.
So as some people will, some crews prefer this lineup if there's a power imbalance in the centre of the boat, that they sometimes see this. It's always in the middle 4 that we see that the stroke and bow side might be combined. So a little bit different. Normally it's bow side, stroke side the whole way up, but in the middle of the boat there you can see that some of the crews, some of the rowers in front of each other are both on the same side. We'll get some side-by-side footage. We'll be able to show that a little bit more. Into really powerful rowing here now. Big difference from the guys in the novice, although we were really impressed with the quality and the style of the novice rowing in the early 2 races. They've gone through the Halfpenny Bridge and making their way down now to the archways here, which is where we saw some of the crews making adjustments, and that might slow down the boat, but we'll get a good view here. Cameraman up on the top of Dublin City Council offices, just waiting for the crews to come into view, and it looks like the UCD crew now settling into the race pace have opened up a little bit of a lead here ahead of the Trinity crew.
It's exciting all right under the arches, and they'll slightly lose touch with each other going through those arches, so really when you're coming out of an arch you really need to check in and see, but they're certainly UCD look like they're pulling ahead there pretty comfortably, don't they?
So centre of the course in the previous race we saw that the crews were very, very close to each other. Here they're sticking to their stations, the UCD crew now moving a little bit north because they need to hit one of the archways coming up, so they're looking to get a good run at it, but the Trinity crew maintaining contact here, and again if they get a clean line in towards the finish they're very much within striking distance, probably just half a length separating them as they come up to about a third of the race coming through, and they're matching each other stroke for stroke here. High rating coming through, and it is just about that half length as you can see coming up to the halfway mark here. So again, powerful rowing from both crews, and because they have that overlap all to play for in the second half of the race here, there's very little between the 2 crews as they come up towards the forecourt. That's about at the halfway mark, the forecourt's going through O'Donovan Rossa Bridge, the arches there, and now they're coming up towards the Father Matthew Bridge. It looks like the UCD crew, even though they're hugging the bank there, they're getting that little bit of advantage. They've opened up now, it looks like a little bit of clear water. Trinity going for a push, you can see the rate coming up. They're under a little bit of pressure here. They know if they let UCD get ahead that the Trinity crew will have too much to do and they might run out of water. They're just about holding on to a 3/4 length lead, the UCD crew. Maybe just a bit of clear water opening up now as they come on towards the second half of the race. We saw this in the women's novice race, and the Trinity crew were able to come back and you can see just how wide the courses are being taken here. The UCD crew on the right hand side in the north station really hugging into the bank there and hugging their station. You can see the Trinity crew are now going to have to make a turn. You can see the tiller coming on, and they're going to have to adjust, as we were saying. That does slow the boat down, and here's the point in where they get a clear run in towards the finish. They still need to go through the next couple of bridges, the Mellows Bridge and into the James Joyce, and then the run in to the finish with Rory O'Moore. James Joyce and Rory O'Moore bridges right beside each other, so it's really noisy and exciting for them, and once they hit that marker they know that they're going to be in the run in towards the finish. Question is, can Trinity women's senior crew do what the novices did and come back in that last few 100 metres to try take the win from UCD? Looking on screen now, it looks like the UCD crew have pushed on again here, Catherine.
It does, doesn't it? They look like they're decisively pulling out in front and really hugging into that north station, which does seem to be the advantageous one today for them.
So expert coxing here from Nessa Farrell in the cox's seat from UCD. Lauren Roach, the stroke. Those two will be partnering up, making sure that they're in control of the race here and going with their race plan. The question is, can the crew from Trinity respond here and get back in touch as they make their way through the last of the arched bridges, and now they're down to the run into the finish. They're going to have to wind up for the line, and it is easy to run out of water here, so it's all to go for Trinity. They're going to have to wind up, and if they're going to have to go now. So again,
hopefully we'll be picking it up from the drone view shortly, which will give us a really nice picture. Here we are. Yeah, so
and
UCD really moving right out into the centre of the river now, that they don't need to be worrying about arches, and just pulling in under the James Joyce Bridge towards the Rory O'Moore Bridge and into the final straight, looking really clean and in control there, aren't they?
Absolutely in full control here. It looks like it's going to be 4 for 4 for UCD as they power on. There's about a length and a half of clear water back to the crew from Trinity as they come through the Rory O'Moore Bridge, down now to the last 250 metres. The crew of Alison Daly, Emer Muldoon, Sarah Butler, Dervla O'Brien, Tara Phelan, Aoife Feely, Niamh Campbell, Lauren Roach and Cox Nisa Farrell making their way towards the finish. Coleman O'Connell coaching the UCD crew along with Alex Jasdimov will be very happy with how their crew are rowing down the Liffey here towards the finish in full control, and they continue to move away from the Trinity crew as they power towards the finish. So really
Mighty.
exciting. Yeah, the rake coming up again, Catherine. They're not taking the foot off the gas here. They're going for it.
No, they're really hammering it home all the way right over to the finish line. Look at that, really nice.
So one of the fastest times recorded is back by Trinity in 1994, breaking the 7-minute mark. And again, UCD back in 2022 did that. And I'm sure they're going to see if they can set a record here as well, because they're powering towards the finish.
They're really picking up the pace there, aren't they, at the end? Enjoying it, I'd say, with whatever they have left in the tank. Great finish, really strong.
Fantastic rowing here from the UCD crew. They're reversing the win that Trinity took on them in Ironhead of the River recently, and they have a dominant display here as they come in and take their last few strokes in full control. The UCD crew, arms aloft, they take the win in the 44th edition of the Corcoran Cup, extending that 4 in a row lead that they have, and overall the UCD crew now moving into 27 wins over Trinity's 17. So a really dominant display there. Great rowing from Trinity. They were with them off the first few 100 metres, and it looked like we were going to have a really tough race coming in, but that experience of the UCD crew coming into play as they came in, and expert coxing we mentioned there from Nessa Farrell, picking an ideal course coming down. They were in full control, especially once they got into the second half of the race. We hit the Forecoats and O'Donovan Rasa Bridge, and I think from then on it was sewn up for the crew from UCD.
Indeed, comfortable looking and dominant really as soon as they got that clear water, weren't they?
So really
Abject
great
disappointment in the Trinity
crew. Trinity
It's
crew.
heartbreaking really at this. It's a very, I think whatever race you do during the year with other clubs, but head to head, the university race is really, there's a lot of there's a lot of passion and emotion, I think, in those boats. It's really it's a tough loss.
So hopefully during the season we'll see Trinity come back and challenge UCD, and will they be back again next year as well to try break that stranglehold that UCD have. 4 in a row now, going from 2022 all the way through to 2025, winning there with just about, I'd say it was 2.5, 3 lengths. We'll get the official results, will be posted out along with the times as well, and we'll see did they break the 7 metre mark. Normally it's a nice tailwind coming down will help the crews. And just on screen you can see the 2 crews making their way down to the start. It is going to be the men's senior crews. They've come down from Island Bridge through the weir, an unusual way to get down to the start, and we're looking here at the Trinity crew. Lovely long flowing rowing from the guys here as they make their way down towards the start, and in the background the UCD crew as well. So both those crews coming down for the 5 o'clock start, just over 20 minutes. And those flags there that you see that they're rowing under, they are the finish line. That's where the crews will be finishing up. As our drone watches, the Trinity crew will give that rundown as they when they get up towards the start. But they make their way up the 2,000 metres, just over 2,000 metres, up to the start for the Gannon Cup, which is going to be the men's senior 8, the 75th edition of the men's senior 8. So a lot of prestige here. Who's going to bring the win in the 75th year? The UCD crew are just behind them. We'll probably see them shortly, again making their way up towards the start. But just to recap again, in the women's novice 8, Trinity took the win with a very exciting finish coming through in the last few hundred metres. The men's novice 8, dominant display from Trinity. Men, as we saw them lead from the second half of the race and taking the win in the men's novice race, and in the women's senior race it was UCD taking 4 in a row. And now we're down to the last race of the day, which is going to be the men's senior race, and you can see the Trinity crew making their way up through the Rory Moore Bridge there, just on the way up towards the start, putting on a bit of a spectacle for us, a little bit of a push in part of their warm-up as they make their way up towards the start. So we're going to take a very short break just to catch our breath, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes, and we'll give you all the details behind the Gannon Cup and all of the competitors and coaches and background information to finish out our last race of the day at 5 o'clock. It is going to be the Gannon Cup for the men's senior 8. Owen Wilson, Brendan Flynn, Richie Oakley, Niall Farrell, and they have an army of people behind them as well. Just to say thank you to everyone involved there, and to the Dublin City Council, Dublin Port Authority, Garda Síochána, Order of Malta, National Taxi Association, National Transport Association, the Irish Taxi Drivers Federation, and Dublin Discovered Boat Tours and City Kayaking. Thanks to them for their support of the event in coordinating access to the river and making sure that the course is available to race on. And again, of course, thank you to our sponsors, without whom the event wouldn't be able to take place. Our partners with Dublin City Council, Utility Fair, Bergen's Property Consultants, Romeril Forensic Engineers, Dublin Coach and Murray Consultants. Huge thank you to them, and also to Old Collegian Boat Club members who are supporting and spending today in memory of their former rowers Johnny Devitt, Owen Hines and Struan McNally. So we're down to the last race of the day, which is the Gannon Cup 75th edition, we mentioned, for the men's senior 8s. The cup named after Kieran Gannon, who was a rower in 1933 with UCD, a part of their 1934 unbeaten maiden 8. He was club captain in 37, re-elected in 38, and then left Ireland to join the Royal Army Medical Corps, where he was a captain serving in India and in Egypt, and then moving on to Burma, and it was in Burma that he was unfortunately killed in 1944. In last year's event, some of Kieran Gannon's family and relatives were here for the 2024 edition, and there was a special ceremony took place remembering him and honouring his memory as well. The Gannon Cup named after him for the men's senior 8. The holders currently, UCD, are 36 out of the wins. Trinity just one ahead in 37. So if UCD can take the win today, they'll level things up overall with 37 wins each. And interestingly, back in 1950 was when we had a dead heat. So it was a joint win back then in 1950. The longest streaks that we've seen for wins, the Trinity Cruise from 76 through to 82 took the wins, and UCD in 2008 all the way to 2014. And over the last few years, one of the closest races we've had in 2023, it was just a third of a length that separated them, with UCD taking the win there in 2023. And in the 2019, prior to us having the break for COVID, where no racing took place, UCD had the win. And over the last 3 years, similar to the women's race, it's been UCD that have dominated here, winning in 2022, 23 and 24. And UCD, of course, these men's senior crews have dominated the Irish Rowing Championships as well, winning a number of them. The most recent outing, we've been comparing the crews in the other races as well. Ernhead of the River, which took place at the start of March, the UCD crew winning the event overall, and were well ahead of Trinity, almost a minute ahead. So the Trinity crew very much underdogs here in the Gannon Cup for the men's senior 8, and you have to think that it is UCD's for the taking and looking to take that 4 in a row. Catherine, the UCD crew and Trinity just up at the start there. We can see them getting ready. Maybe we can take us through each of the crews, if you can give the rundown. Not sure which one you want to.
I have the Trinity crew here. So bowman Pierce Mooney, senior fresh engineering, had his start in rowing as junior in Neptune and school in Castleknock Community College. Then the 2-seat Cormac Feely. Unfortunately, we don't have too much information about Cormac there, I'm afraid. Number 3, Benjamin Hendricks, master's student in finance, junior rower at the University of California at Irvine. And 4-man Ben Reed, 4th year in Bess, novice rowing, so came up through the ranks in Trinity, and went to the Seedberg School. And it's his third time in this senior colours race. 5-seat then Henry Beer, 2nd year studying religion, came up through the junior programme at the Abingdon School, which I think I remember from my rowing days in Oxfordshire. Very distinctive magenta striped blazer, as far as I recall, from the English rowing season events that I would have been at. The number 6-seat then, Ethan Copeland. He's in 3rd year in civil engineering, started rowing as a junior in Montclair High School in New Jersey, so plenty of international flavour to that Trinity crew today. And then the number 7-seat, Michael Cusick, and the stroke George Roberts, 4th year music student, came up through the ranks again, DUBC novice rower, and graduate of St Mary's Knockbeg College, and it's his first time in the senior colours crew. And then Cox, James O'Brien, 4th final year in Bess also, and he is a graduate of the DUBC programme, coming up through the ranks as a novice there. And it's his second year in the senior crew, coming from a rowing family. His dad coached rowed in UCD and coached the 05 Gannon Winning Cup crew, so in the blood there for Cox James O'Brien.
Excellent. And in the UCD crew, in the bow seat, we've Owen McGrath. In the 2-seat, David Ross Chew in his first colours race, coming from the Shandon Boat Club. And Andrew O'Leary is in his first colours race as well, coming from Presentation previously in his junior rowing. Kieran Conway, rowing junior in commercial, now rowing with UCD. Paul Flood, also from commercial, this is his 3rd colours race. Ross Mason in the 6-seat, 2nd colours race, and has come through the UCD programme. Darrell Lynch, our Olympic bronze medalist, the Clonmel Colossus they're calling him, and he is in the 7th seat, changing here from sculling to sweep. It's his first race, and coming via Yale and Clonmel. Dak Murphy, the captain, in the stroke seat, and Rian Nelson is the returning winning cox, leading it out there. These crews coached by Andrew Goff, Niall Farrell, Joe Ronaldson and Mark Doyle, and we're already underway, cleanly away. You see, they don't hang around up at the start. Once they get them lined up, they are underway, and we'll get some footage shortly to see how the race is progressing. We mentioned UCD going for 4 in a row here. The Trinity crew were the ones that won the toss and picked the North Station, and it looks like already just in the first few hundred metres the UCD crew are opening up a lead. So they're coming up to the Halfpenny Bridge, as it's called, the first bridge that they'll go through. All up against them here for the Trinity crew. They've been beaten quite easily over the last few races, and that head of the river race showing almost a minute between the two crews is some mountain that they have to climb here in the men's senior race. What they'll need to do is maintain contact as long as possible here, hold on for dear life, and see if they can get within striking distance in the run in towards the finish. But this UCD crew have dominated over the last couple of years. A lot of the guys returning here for their second and third race in the men's senior, so they're bringing that experience to the boat, and I'm sure it doesn't help that there's a bronze medalist from I'm sure it doesn't add any thing to the boat, where the Darragh Lynch is in the 7th seat, powering on here and bringing all his experience as well. Even though he's switching from sculling to sweep rowing, you wouldn't want to turn him down at the opportunity. Taking up medicine, so we'll hopefully see him compete for UCD a lot over the next couple of seasons. And just as they come through the bridge, Catherine, they're in full control here.
They sure are, aren't they? Really powerful, and as you say, that depth of experience. A lot of international experience, depth of experience on this crew, or on this course indeed, which will all certainly stand to them today. But Trinity holding on. They're not getting out in clear water yet. I think they're still within a boat length of them.
And very difficult for Trinity to come back when they do have this kind of lead that's opened up against them so early on in the race. And it's a deal for UCD. I mean, that's where you want to be. They can look back and see that just how in full control they are here. And I'm sure that Rian Nelson coxing there and taking the win last year is bringing her experience back in as they come back through Dublin. City Council offices there, coming up towards the halfway mark in the forecourts, in full control. They've opened up clear water here. Dak Murphy, the captain of UCD, he was adamant that they were going to take the win here and bring up the win to 37 each overall. That was his goal as captain, doing some of his rowing with Carlo and the last season's rowing with UCD. This is his second colours race here, being backed up in the 7th seat by Darragh Lynch. His first colours race, a lot of experience. We mentioned rowing with Yale and with Clonmel, and multiple Irish championships and international success as well. Ross Mason in the 6th seat, come through the UCD program that they have there, not having rowed previously. Paul Flood and Kieran Conway, both from Commercial, and know the stretch of the river so well, transferring from Commercial in the junior rowing into UCD. And then Andrew O'Leary in the 3 seat for presentation, backed up by his County Cork compatriot David Ross Chew in the 2 seat, and Owen McGrath in bow. In full control, we saw them coming through there. The last of the races that they're coming through, the last of the bridges are coming through in full control, and poor Trinity here have really got a lot to do to stay in contention and try eat back into the lead. But when you have such a commanding lead, Catherine, it really is difficult for any crew to come back.
It is. I'm just thinking that it's very hard. I think that it's the silence when you lose the ability to hear that crew ahead of you. That's really disheartening and difficult, I think, for them. But there's no doubt, certainly on paper and on the record of those last few races, and indeed the last few seasons, UCD are really on a dominant streak with a lot of quality in their boat.
And the UCD crew, I think, are going to be racing against the clock here as well to come up with some of the fastest times that they have. The times can change depending on the conditions and the tide and the weather and everything. Over the last few years, in 2022, the time was 6:16, and then in last year's race it was 6:31. So quite a difference of 15 seconds between 2 years, but that's why the records are always a little bit unusual in races like this when the conditions can affect it so much. But look at that, you can see the forecourts in the background there, and the UCD crew opening up easily 5-6 lengths against the Trinity crew as they come through. They're in full control and looking to take the win here in the 75th edition of the Gannon Cup. They're coming through already down into the run-in towards the finish. The last two bridges they're coming up to, it is the James Joyce Bridge, that white span bridge that Trinity are just coming up towards now, and already we're seeing the Rory O'Moore Bridge there, UCD colour matching the Rory O'Moore Bridge in the run-in towards the finish.
Really clean and comfortable, aren't they? Just so strong there. Enjoying that last run home, I'm sure.
You can see just why UCD have dominated men's senior rowing over the last couple of seasons. The Trinity crew doing their best to stay in contention. A lot of these rowers in their first colours race, so they're clocking up experience here, and we know that sometimes you need to go through the painful loss before you can turn it around and come back and take the win. So these guys, I'm sure, will be back next year to battle hard and try reverse the 4 in a row that this UCD crew have in towards the finish. We're watching them now to take the Gannon Cup and the men's senior 8. They're going to level it up at 37 apiece for Trinity and UCD. Last few strokes on them, they can hear the crowd encouraging them home, and they'll wind it up towards the finish here, expertly led in the Cox's seat by Rian Nelson, bringing all her experience from the previous races. Last stroke, they come in to take the win. College take the win. UCD take the men's senior 8 win easily over the crew from Trinity. You can see in the background they have to paddle on here. Dara Lynch there in the 7th seat, and Dak Murray will be a very happy captain for UCD, taking the win there and stroking the crew home. Well ahead of the crew from Trinity, who've done their very best coming in towards the finish here. James O'Brien in the Cox's seat, George Roberts in stroke, just coming up towards the finish. So it is a reversal of fortune in the overall standings. In the men's and women's novice races, it was Trinity who took both wins in the first 2 races of the day, and in the senior races it has been UCD taking the win in the Corcoran Cup in the women's senior 8, and UCD taking the win there in the men's senior 8 for the Gannon Cup. And we said levelling it up overall, but one of the stats that is very important is last 4 years in the Gannon Cup and in the Corcoran Cup, it is the UCD crews now have 4 in a row. So Trinity will go back to the drawing board and look to come back even stronger in 2026 and hopefully challenge to reverse that 4 in a row that has just been established by UCD in both the men's and women's senior races. The Trinity crew making their way back up towards Island Bridge. A daunting task ahead of them it was when they weren't off the start, but they did their very best. But there was, I have to say, Catherine, that UCD crew, a class of their own there leading it out.
They are, aren't they? No, absolutely a class of their own. But you know what? The things are maybe changing with those novice crews coming up behind them now from Trinity, and that's what you see, isn't it? I mean, the years go by and the cycles one to the other, so I think we're on a dominant senior cycle from UCD certainly, but I think things are looking up for Trinity at novice level for sure.
Absolutely. So congratulations again to the 2 Trinity crews. Looking forward to seeing you guys coming back in the next couple of years and building out the senior crews for Trinity, and hopefully come in and challenge UCD in both the men's and women's seniors. And congratulations as well to the UCD crews, their coaches as well. 2 dominant displays there in both the men's and the women's, extending their leads to 4 in a row on both sides. So congratulations and well done. Just to run through the UCD crew: Owen McGrath in the bow seat, David Ross Chew in 2, Andrew O'Leary in 3, Kieran Conway in 4, Paul Flood in the 5 seat along with Ross Mason in 6, Dara Lynch taking his first colours race and first colours win in the 7th seat, along with club captain for UCD Dak Murray in the stroke seat, and Rian Nelson returning and extending her lead in the Cox seat for UCD as they make their way back up towards Island Bridge. So there you have it. That concludes the 2025 colours races between UCD and Trinity. Thanks again to the organising committee of Brendan Flynn Owen Wilson, Richie Oakley, Niall Farrell, and the army of supporters they have behind them. The sponsors: Dublin City Council, Utility Fair, and Bergen's Property Consultants, Romeril Forensic Engineers, Dublin Coach, and Murray PR and Comms Consultants as well. Without their support, the event wouldn't take place, and thanks to everyone that we've partnered up with. In the production and also in the race details that are there. Really exciting to kick off the regatta season from here on in. Heads of the River are finished and it's regatta season from here on in, and it'll be interesting to see how these crews race against each other once we get in towards regatta season and the run in towards the championships in July. Huge thanks as well to the production crew who have provided all of the footage here and the setup that we have, and a huge thank you to you, Catherine, rejoining after your success back in 1998 in the women's novice race, and in the dominance display that you had in the senior rowing back in 2023 and 24. It's been fantastic for you to have you here with me today to commentate and bring your knowledge and experience in, and I think a comeback is definitely on the cards.
Well, it's been lovely to be part of it, and I wish them all well. They'll be drowning their sorrows and toasting their successes this evening, I hope.
Absolutely. So thanks again to everyone who might have tuned in. I'm sure the rowers are going to watch back. Well done to everyone. Hope you enjoyed the footage that we brought today. Just 4 races in Dublin City Centre, but it's a great way to kickstart the regatta season for 2025. My name's Brian Richardson, and I was joined here by Catherine de Blackham in the commentary booth, and we were delighted to bring you the 2025 Colours Boat races. 2 wins for Trinity in the Women's Novice 8, Men's Novice 8, and 2 wins for UCD in the Women's Senior 8 and the Men's Senior 8. We hope everyone has a fantastic season ahead, and looking forward to being back here in 2026 to see how it'll play out between these 2 rivals, Trinity and UCD, in the next Colours Boat race. Well rowed.